what's your big question today? Do you have a question? Good morning. So what's your big question today? Do you have a question? And Mr. Crane just flew out there right in front of us. Welcome to Sunrise Stroll and Chat. The last few days we started with a question. And so my question today was, what's your big question today? And do you even have a question? I saw somebody there wrote a question, how do we cope with Christmas, with this Christmas? How do we cope with this Christmas? There's a story out there. Apparently it happened back in September, but I only learned about it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, because it was published in English. It had been originally published in Spanish. And a person in Spain, more towards the north of Spain, had written a poem about Christmas, this Christmas in the Corona period. And because of this, Pope Francis called the person up and commented on the poem that had been published in Spanish. And it was precisely this question about Christmas. How do we celebrate Christmas this year? It could also be a question for people during Thanksgiving. Actually, a week from today, right? for people in the United States. And maybe this question is actually, if it is a big question, is a pointer about why we live and how we live and what's important. I've been in the most different places for Christmas. I remember once I was a student in Rome, so we're talking about the mid-80s, and I had to come to the United States during my Christmas vacations to look for donations for the seminarians. We were not in easy times for our community and we needed help, and we had a lot of seminarians. So I was the one they asked to do this, to go and visit people and ask for help. But I didn't want to leave Rome before the 24th of December because we had ordinations of our brothers to become priests. And every ordination I was looking forward to more and more because it was getting closer to my own ordination. I didn't want to miss them. So I always asked the superiors if I could stay for the ordination before I went to the States. And anyway, we had classes almost up to Christmas. So I didn't want to lose classes either. And then we'd have a couple of weeks of vacation. And that's when I would hit the road to look for funds for the seminarians. And I remember that one Christmas day, others I don't remember it so much, but I flew from Rome to the United States. And there were so few people flying that they joined two flights. The Rome and the Paris flight to New York were both amalgamated, so the Rome flight stopped in Paris, and then we went down to New York. But there were very few people on the flight, even though they amalgamated both flights. And in Paris, in that stop at the airport, security was not near what it is nowadays. So people just got off the plane and went around and came back on with their ticket in their hand. And it was like that great trust. And then I met a bishop. It was actually intriguing for me because he was wearing a very big pectoral cross that I didn't see that usual. It wasn't that usual for Catholic bishops, but it turned out he was actually in charge of the broadcast for the Vatican, for the media, and he would comment the Pope's Mass on Christmas morning, and then he would fly back after that Mass to spend Christmas Day with his mother in Philadelphia. And so that was, I wasn't with my brothers on Christmas Day, I wasn't with my own family, but I was with Jesus. And I spent many an unusual Christmas Day in a way. Like, what was Christmas Day like at home on the farm? Well, it was milking the cows. It was making sure the sheep had feed, that the cattle had feed. In fact, my brother and I, when we were small, we would go to find nicer bits of food for the cattle on Christmas Day. It was interesting. Just our Christmas joy. We were sharing it with even the animals on the farm, so to say. So we'd look for that special type of silage grass that was better. We knew what the animals liked a bit more, and we expressed our joy of Christmas. But we were doing the normal chores. It was a normal day's work on the farm. But it was Christmas Day. It was very special because it was Christmas Day, because Christ was born. So I don't know, this whole question is really a non-issue for me, because Christmas Day is celebrating the joy of Christ. Now obviously there's also a very strong tradition that's when family gets together, but we were always together at home as children, so that wasn't a big deal. Nobody extra special came, it was just Christmas and the family. We celebrated, obviously we went to Mass, even if it was another day during the week, and there was all the singing, we had Christmas decorations, we had all that atmosphere. My mom obviously prepared very special meals for Christmas, but I'm not sure why people are so worried, and I think this is why Pope Francis called up this priest in Spain and he thanked him for this poem, because it's basically, we're not going to be doing all the hectic buzz, and it's not going to be about buying stuff and it's going to be about Jesus. It's going to be about the joy of celebrating the Savior in great simplicity. Just like the first Christmas, Joseph had to go around and do the normal things. He had to get food ready for Mary. He had to find a place for her to stay, and there weren't too many open doors. And he had to deal with the practical realities on that day, and the Savior was born. So I wonder, I don't want to criticize the person who asked the question, because it's becoming a good opportunity to chat about something that's in my heart, even from the readings. What's our big question today? Or do you even have a question? And sometimes maybe what's going on is that we're just living one day after another just to be comfortable, just to get by, just to not have a major problem, not to have to face too many serious issues, So just I'm not sure, I don't think Soter has major issues, except she finds a cat. And then the cat has major issues rather than Soter. Although she got in a tangle with a cat last night and got some scratches on her nose. The law of the jungle. But, do we have a major quest in life? A major passion? There's great light on this piece of the rock up here. I just love these kind of spaces. There's so much determination, so much solidity, such a long time, such permanence. And yet all of that will melt as dust. Whereas all this vegetation would be we wouldn't see the sun in the summertime, it'd be all leaves, and then they go away in a few months. And that rock will still be up there real proud, How many changes of leaves has that rock seen? How many storms? How many kings? It was probably here since Herod Antipas. Maybe it saw Jesus walking by. And long before that, Herod the Great, and long before him. Maybe seeing some of the exiles come back from Babylon. What's our big question? Do we have a question? A thirst, a quest, a mission. Is life bigger than us, and bigger than my cup of tea, and bigger than the storm in my teacup? We read about the typhoons and about the hurricanes and about the loss of life and about the lack of respect for life. And then we read about the furnace of love in God. If this sun 93 million miles away is a furnace that not only gives us sunburn, but that could wipe us out, And thank God we're 93 million miles away from it, but not much more, because then we'd be frozen. Imagine the furnace in God, the furnace of love, and how it's not an issue for us. God's not an issue. It's about me. It's about me. And it's funny, you know, we lose sight of that incredible reality of God, and actually God has us totally in his sights. That's amazing. As we walk along the twists and turns of life, not to lose sight of God. And really that's the point of the gospel passage today. We have Jesus on the Mount of Olives. It'd be nice if we were there for the sunrise stroll and chat, but it's 2 hours away by car, 2.25 hours probably now. There's not too much traffic. But, and Jesus cries over Jerusalem, how often did I want to gather you up like a mother hen gathers her chicks, but you did not want to. You refused. You weren't interested. You were only worried about one or two of your feathers. You weren't interested about the source of your life. We human beings are really, really, really amazing. Surprising, mysterious. Kind of hard to figure us out. What a great challenge, a great call, a great wake-up call each day, the gift of life. That's beautiful, gathering together as a family to celebrate, to exchange, to thank God for the gift of life. Of course, all of these things are absolutely beautiful. And that's where we live our love. From the deep roots, See, this tree can get wet with a couple of spatterings of a shower, but its roots are deeply, deeply, deeply down there. And it's well nourished. Sometimes I find Soder barking at the waves. I don't know what her perception is that she sees. There's an east wind today drawing in this movement, disturbing the tranquility of the water. You know that comment there, that last comment I just saw there about getting together and bonding as a family, all of that is so beautiful. And that's why Christ came to save us for the good. To open up our hearts and our minds for the other. And there's such a treasure, such a deep treasure in the mystery of God, such an amazing source of love and goodness. And the text today is very interesting. In the first reading, who is worthy to open the scroll? We're looking across here at the Mount of Beatitudes, straight across from us in the center of the screen. Thinking there at the Mount of Beatitudes of the pure of heart, who are often laughed at by the world. The poor, the poor of spirit, the humble, the meek, the peacemakers, those who suffer persecution for justice sake. Who can open the scroll and pronounce those words? The one who was the poor, the pure, whose life was unjustly taken in terrible torture, and who said, Father, forgive them. He is worthy to open the scroll. The one who rose from the dead. And that is the huge question of all of history. You know, sometimes we have problems at home in the family. Like there's a hot potato, you know. That's an image, because sometimes there's a hot potato that's hard to catch. You don't want to get burned. But the hot potato, when there's some issue between a couple of members of the family, or it could be within another human group, not just a family, it could be among friends, it could be in a classroom, it could be in the workplace. We can find hot potatoes wherever we find a couple of people working together, or a lot of people, and nobody wants to touch the hot potato. Be better just to leave it there and ignore it. And the big hot potato is the whole mystery of evil in the world. Who's able to touch the hot potato? Who's able to pick it up and peel it and skin it? And the biggest hot potato is all the mystery of evil, cutting across all relationships. Threatening to compromise God's plan for the good of each person. And not from the outside, but from the very inside of free people. And even the angels had their battle. And who is worthy to open the scroll and pronounce on this issue? Who is capable of reconciliation, of accomplishing this reconciliation for humanity? It's not merely about I'm okay, you're okay. It's about salvation, the conquering of evil, definitively, totally, completely. The conquering of darkness, the victory of justice and life and light, truth and goodness. And my life is totally implicated. Totally implicated. Every day. Every day my life is implicated in this incredible scenario of history. And many times it's the quiet one in the background, the sick one in the hospital bed, the person today dealing with news of corona, dealing with all kinds of difficult issues and hot potatoes and how to deal with them. We're all completely implicated in this big mystery of life. It's not about the storm in the teacup, but it is about that kind cup of tea that can help bridge the gap, that can help prepare a conversation, the little detail. No act of kindness is lost in this big battle. To be completely connected. To this big mystery. The books are still here, people, in the cave. I want to say a big thank you for joining this morning along the walk here, along the Sea of Galilee for sunrise. May your life be part of the big, big issue of humanity in an active way, a contributing way, a powerful way, through the smallest details of each day. God bless you this morning and all day and every day. See you later.